Anthony Gobriel, the Navy transfer, will take the opening faceoff for Virginia. Luke Weirman, a second-team All-American, wins the opening draw for Maryland. Accelerates downhill, fires on cage, and Morris makes the first save. That play eerily reminiscent of how the 2021 national championship game between these two ended. Weirman won the final faceoff, accelerated toward the cage. Alex Rode made the big body save to preserve the Virginia win.
Huge stop in terms of confidence, in terms of comfort. You can exhale. Not only did he make the stop, but he scooped it clean.
Both of these teams limped into the NCAA tournament. Virginia had lost 4 in a row. Maryland's offense was in witness protection, having lost 5 of 9. They found a second wind here in the month of May. And both teams have had their struggles in different areas. Virginia on defense, Maryland on offense. The two great coaches have shepherded their teams to championship weekend, and Connor Schellenberger gets the best of Ajax Zapatello. Schellenberger had the game winner in double overtime last week against Johns Hopkins, and he's got the first tally of semifinal number 2.
Pinch and pop. Virginia slow to slide to the faux goal. Morris digs it out of the turf, comes up on his toes.
This is huge for Schellenberger. I talked to Lars Tiffany before the game. He said, I want my star to be selfish. I want him to own these one-on-one matchups with Zapatello. And there was 2 things that were masterful there. It was the low-angle shot for the finish, but look how he rejected that pick. It looked like Zapatello thought he'd have to go through the pick. Schellenberger rejects it with that backhand shovel shot up goal line extended on the left side.
On the left side, okay. Talking to Lars yesterday, he said, we think the vulnerability is up the left side.
Weirman's such a weapon. Maryland going early. Good look there by Daniel Maltz, who had 4 goals in the quarterfinals. And now the Terps will go on offense. This is a top 6 where they've mixed and matched of late. They had some injuries. Braden Erksa was banged up. He's been running out of the box. Eric Spanos bumped down to attack. 7 in black, carrying now for Maryland. And he's been thriving in that role. Eric Molliver, number 4 in black, also been running out of the box more on the midfield.
Same pieces of the puzzle, just rearranged. And somehow they've made them fit in the last 2 weeks.
This one checked away by Chase Yeager, who's had 3 caused turnovers in both NCAA tournament games. He was named a 3rd-team All-American, or a 2nd-team All-American earlier today.
Shockingly.
And that one going to Maryland, closest to the ball, when and where it goes out of bounds on a shot.
Maryland using the 10-man ride in a game where we thought Virginia would want to inject tempo into this.
Virginia's in their ride as well. Now it's more of a 9.5-man ride. Morris now retreats into cage. The ride was so effective in the win against Johns Hopkins last week in the quarters. How about the Terps? They could not score going into this NCAA tournament. They explode for 16, a season high in round 1 against Princeton. Clark, that was a game where everybody was picking Princeton, and then Maryland rallied twice from 4 goals down to beat Duke last week in a stunner.
They went from shooting under 30% on the season to the 2 NCAA games close to 40%, limiting the turnovers late in games, and as Quint mentioned, mixing it up from a personnel perspective, putting Molliver at midfield, but inverting and bringing defenders behind the cage.
They went 4 and 5 over their last 9, losing to Johns Hopkins and then Penn State as Morris makes the save.
There was Molliver on the invert, as Clark pointed out.
Tillman told us yesterday, he said the guys in the team were not convinced they were going to make the playoffs. So when they saw their name in the bracket, there was a fresh sense of relief, and it truly was a 2nd season.
Virginia thrives in chaos. Kastner brought it up. 39 in white, a long pole. Will play basketball at Stanford in the fall, which will be a part of the ACC by then. Will Corey, 14 in white, still has it. 2nd midfield production could be vital for Virginia if they are to win a championship. That unit has not given them much, and it's a little shorthanded today. There's Thomas Menke. Patrick McIntosh who's been a fixture on that unit, out with an injury. Schellenberger against Zapatello. Second and third pick in the PLL draft. Schellenberger had a step. 1 point away from breaking Gary Gates' NCAA tournament career points record. Menke against Red, one of the short stick D-middies. Spins it back to X, the freshman McCabe Millen. 6 points in the quarters last week. Millen with a bouncer and a save made by McNaney.
Smooth as silk, the lefty from Corning, New York. Logan McNaney, the money man. He knows where the finish line is. He's unflappable.
Oh, completely. You watch how poised he is in the cage. A lot of goalies with happy feet, they like to bait. Not McNaney. He sits on shots. He trusts his angles. And his top hand speed, like we saw in game one with Liam Entenmann, is exceptional.
There is Spanos, who got it from Whittier. Guarded by Schroeder. Now back to Zach Whittier on the invert against Erdman.
Kastner covers Urksa.
Playing hangman, and Maryland picks it apart.
That's the
Spanos
recipe.
with the assist.
That's the recipe, Anish. That is the absolute recipe.
Championship game MVP in 2022 was Logan McNaney. It was his sophomore season. He came up with monster stop after monster stop, sitting on shots, triggering opportunities for his offense, Q.
Somewhere in the postseason, this offense has arrived. A lot of action behind the net. Simple passing in front. Maltz had 4 in the quarters. He gets on the board here for Be the Best.
You mentioned McNaney's prowess this time of the year. 9-1 as a starting goalie in the NCAA tournament. The one loss to Virginia in the 2021 championship. Weirman has won every faceoff. What a weapon he is. And they use him now on the offensive end at times in a similar way that Virginia used Petey LaSala. Sometimes he'll stay in to pick. Sometimes he'll stay in and Kark. We'll see him dodge.
Sometimes we'll see him win the faceoff and score lefty. He was the best offensive player for Maryland in the first half against Duke in the quarterfinals. He kept them in that game, obviously, by dominating the X, but also creating offense.
Here comes Molliver. Last season cut short by a torn ACL. Molliver turns the corner. He's got a short stick matchup. Skip pass, Ryan Siracusa. Siracusa has waited his turn. He's been playing the last couple of years, first 3 years on the scout team. Spanos will look to ignite from behind. Fakes the pass. Posting up on Fulton. Shot clock about to hit 10. Alley dodge, no angle for Daniel Kelly. Maryland turns it over and they'll let Morris set up the clear.
Winning matchups on the perimeter.
That's where you miss Matt Nunes. Virginia able to get it back. Nunes is an elite outlet passer in goal. They like Morris's outlet passing. They think he's better than what he has shown. Hasn't had to do a whole lot. Again, this is his first career start, but that's when Matthew Nunes excelled.
Some of the ground ball play around the crease, the 10-man ride and the clearing. I think that's more of a challenge than actually being the stopper.
Griffin Schutz had 4 goals in the first meeting against Maryland this season. Millen missed the cage. Schellenberger has the backup. When these two played in the regular season, Virginia won 14-10 back on the 16th of March in a game that they were in control pretty much the whole way. Zapatello shading Schellenberger. Now Schutz. All-American honors out of the midfield. On Jack McDonald, 51 in black, is Maryland's top LSM, long stick midfielder. Well-timed double, and they light up Noah Chismar.
Burlace lit him up.
McNaney, cat-like out of the cage.
Love the way he picks his spots.
McNaney suffered a torn ACL early last year. Missed pretty much the entire season.
Burlace would have none of that, man. He was decisive. And he sends the double here, and this is perfect. Body on body. Chismar posts up, thinks he's got all sorts of time. The picture changes rapidly in championship weekend.
Popped him. And I'll tell you what, if you're Chismar, you better be careful. You've battled some upper body injuries throughout the course of the year. This defensive midfield unit for Virginia is not uber deep.
Zach Whittier inverts Willardman, looking for Molliver. Turnover. That's Ben Weyer, who has been a human tempest in this postseason. 18 ground balls in the 2 tournament games, 3 assists, 6 caused turnovers.
For my money, the best middle of the field player I've seen in this year's tournament.
It's been awesome. And when you look at his numbers, too, for the season, no player in college lacrosse that's not a face-off specialist has more ground balls than Ben Ware. But I will say this, without Matthew Nunes there might be less fast break opportunities for Ware.
Joey Terenzi, and Ware's going to stay on. He's got 7 goals. But they trust him out there if the matchup is right. Schellenberger using the pick. Down the alley, missed the cage, the back up to Millen. And Weyer not running off, he's still staying on. Now it looks like he might run off.
No, he's staying on. This early phase, this early offense can make defense a little uncomfortable. Playing hangman at the top of the box.
Millen turns the corner, off target. It will stay with Virginia. Menke closest to the ball on the shot that went out of bounds.
For my money, the 2 most important matchups, Millen against Schaller, 27 in black, a lefty, and then who covers Schutz.
Menke backhanded rip.
Griffin Schutz went for 4 and 2 when Virginia beat Maryland in College Park this season. He was the MVP of that game.
His best game of the season. One of the best of his career. Shot clock inside of 10. Zappatello and Schellenberger do battle. Menke couldn't handle the pass. Shovels it back. Shot clock violation. Schellenberger gets out of the way to avoid a delay of game. Lars Tiffany, 2 national titles at Virginia. Terps cough it up on the clear.
Turnovers. Schizophrenic as a team at times this season, and their main Achilles heel has been turnovers. Rudimentary turnovers in the offensive set, and then some clearing mistakes here and there.
We saw that last week too. They beat Duke but had 18 turnovers in that game.
They were a disaster when I was doing that game, but they only had 2 in the 4th quarter. When it counted, when they needed to close it out, they cleaned it up.
Here comes Schutz. First midfield, Schutz, Ryan Colsey, and Jack Boyden, D3 Player of the Year at Tufts last season. Boyden setting the pick. Schellenberger over to Schutz, puts it on cage, missed the mark. Virginia has missed 8 of its first 9 shots. Millen got a good look. Boyden has the backup. Virginia's taken 10 shots, only 2 of them on goal. Peyton Cormier, the NCAA's Division I all-time leader in goals. He hits the pipe, the ricochet to Maryland. Terps have a trailer. One more doorstep dunk. It's Daniel Kelly for the Terps in the regular season against Maryland or against Virginia last year. They had the game-winning goal in overtime.
Terps fans celebrate in style. A game of inches. Off the shin of Logan McNaney and then rings off the iron. Watch it again. From goal cam, doink. Ajax cleans it up, and in a transition, a lever pass. Unbelievable.
2 years ago, John Tillman brought a Maryland team to championship weekend. That was one of the most dominant teams that we have seen in modern memory. The Terps beat Cornell in the championship. They had to withstand a late Cornell charge. Tired legs got to them late, but this was a team that really up until the last 5 or 6 minutes of the national championship dominated its opposition. 18-0, first undefeated champion the sport had seen since Matt Ward's Virginia team did it back in 2006. And John Tillman has been the master of May. This is not near the same team that he fielded in 2022. Most folks expected Maryland to lose to Princeton in round one. They were a popular pick to be taken down. Most folks expected Maryland to lose to Duke in the quarterfinals. Yet, Kark, here they are.
Hold up, guys. Hold up. Hold on, guys. Hey! Hey!
Maryland has won every face-off so far. This one turns into a muck. That looked like a push. No flag. Now we get a whistle.
Early timeout. John Tillman 10 yards onto the field. So that shows you what he's thinking about possession early in this game. To burn a timeout in the first quarter. So now Weirman has won every face-off in this game. He's 4-0. 2 out the front, 1 out the back. That was a 50-50, a scrap that his wingers got it done.
And Virginia tried a change-up. They went with Thomas Colucci after Gobriel took the first two. Officials today, Peter Buchanan, Mark McInnes, Scott McCall. Terps offense out of hibernation, out of its shell the last two games.
Transformation. You could argue that John Tillman has done his best work in his career at the University of Maryland. Again, this is a team that scored 5 goals in a loss against Johns Hopkins. Came back and then got blown off the field by Penn State. Somehow, they've managed to move the parts and play efficient offense in the last 2 weeks.
You know, Anish, you were mentioning during that face-off when we were listening to the mucking it up on both sides as they try to have some way, shape, or form of limiting Weirman. John Tillman is so masterful at making adjustments, not only long-term for the season. We saw some chess pieces moving around. You take Molliver, who's a quarterback, as an attackman. You put him at midfield, and he kind of feasts off short sticks, and he had a huge game in the first round against Princeton. Eric Spanos, who was a midfielder, is now permanently playing attack. But it's what he does in-game, and we see him on the iPad all the time, and I just saw him talking to some of his staff members too. He's constantly making tweaks or poking holes in what the opposition is doing. So his in-game adjustments have allowed this team to grow and mature.
Dangerous pass, almost picked off by Weyer. Quint, if you're starting a program from scratch, is John Tillman your coach?
Yes.
Urksa plays it back up top, Syracuse. Maneuvering around Weyer. Spanos using the pick. Schroeder bodies Spanos. Low shot, blocked.
Look at that matchup with Spanos and Schroeder. I've watched a lot of Schroeder. If you try to play in the body against 49 in white, you will not prevail. If you're Eric Spanos, and he did against Princeton, he played in space. He used X, the back of the goal, and he used his speed.
Good look here from the wing. It's Kelly, his second of the game. He had 2 against Virginia in the regular season meeting this year.
Kelly can't miss in the postseason. That's from an angle. That's from a sliver of an angle.
Makes it count. He had the winning goal against Virginia in the regular season down at Klockner in 2023. Last year he had big holes to fill in terms of Logan Wisnauskas, who graduated and was the Tewaaraton winner in 2022. He occupied that left spot. But Daniel Kelly has range, and he has the soft hands to make it count.
Low to low, that can't go, but he does use some English, and that ball actually kicks for him. Virginia's got to do a much better job off-ball defense. I think they're doing a decent job on the ball, winning some of those matchups, but their off-ball guys got to tighten it up.
Weirman wins another faceoff. Another clean exit. Weirman fires and scores. That juices the Maryland bench. 4-1 Terps.
It's a different kind of feeling when 52 brings it right down to the heart of the opposing team's defense. I mentioned earlier he did it twice against Duke. Broke their hearts in Hempstead a week ago. It's the evolution of the position. The rules changed a couple years ago. It forced more athletes, better lacrosse players, and goal scorers from that spot.
Virginia's wing players cannot even impact Weirman. It's a pinch and pop. He's done that 3 times in this game. He's off to the races. The wingman has got to take an angle where they can intersect him before he becomes an offensive threat at the top of the box. And Lars Tiffany talking to his wing guys about their angles.
And against Gobriel, he's getting those clean exits, which are leading to opportunities. Virginia now counters with Colucci. And Colucci makes it more of a scrum. It's a hold against Maryland. Virginia gets the ball back. Terenzi fires on Cage. Easy save, McNaney.
Don't love the clock and score management of that shot.
Feathers the perfect outlet to Red. Maltz, skip pass, Zapatello stick checked. That's a lot of poles out there. Kastner and Zapatello.
Yes, indeed. Quint, you mentioned you didn't like that shot. John Tillman in the last huddle said we're going to possess the ball and have longer runs at this Virginia defense if we don't have something right away. Love the Kelly fast break goal, but they're going to tire this Virginia defense out in a unit, specifically from the defensive midfield spot that's not very deep. Luke Weirman could strangle them.
That's what they did last week to Duke.
Body blows and body blows. Spanos trying to get free of Schroeder. Ran right into Jurassic Park.
Yeah, Spanos is not going to be the answer today, Anish. That's not the matchup.
Virginia's close defense. Schroeder 6'5", Fulton 6'6", Kastner at 6'7", dubbed Jurassic Park by Georgetown head coach Kevin Warren a few years back. Cavaliers have struggled with their shooting early. 1 for 12, only 3 shots on goal. Now the other part of that too, to Kark's point, you're going to tire out this Virginia team, especially the defensive midfield. It neuters some of your ride as well. Short stick matchup for Ryan Colsey against George Stamos. Colsey turns the corner, and again, Virginia still struggling to hit the cage. 1 for 13, and 10 of the 13 have been off goal. Schellenberger sets the pick for Boyden. Top side, save McNaney. Back to Boyden. Shot clock resets to 60. First midfield on for Virginia. Midfield production's been hit or miss this season. Here's Millen, the freshman, not much on the shot.
If Maryland can bottle up Schellenberger, Millen, and Schutz, Virginia has no chance to win this game.
Colsey looking for shots, couldn't handle the feed. Maryland comes up with the ground ball. McDonald, transition opportunity. Zapatello fires too high. 33.8 seconds to go, opening quarter.
They go slow here now.
Now Virginia was down 4-0 early to Johns Hopkins.
Maryland's going to manage the game to perfection. That's a John Tillman staple. You want to win the last minute of every quarter.
Here comes Urksa, last year's Big Ten Freshman of the Year. And he throws it away toward midfield. Over and back. Virginia with 3.5. Schellenberger will restart. Tries to thread it. It's knocked down. Maryland wins quarter number 1. Connor Schellenberger scored the first goal of the game. Maryland responds with 4 straight.
Coach, you're 1 for 15 shooting. What do you have to do to make these shots count?
We got to take the extra step. It looks like we're taking a shot way too early. We got to take that, as they say, the extra step to glory and get in front of the goal.
Thank you, Coach.
The extra step to greatness, Coach Tiffany, to greatness, not to glory.
I think he would have had to maybe pay some kind of royalty to you, though, had he gone greatness.
Trying to figure it out with his offensive coordinator, Kevin Cassis, on the right in the blue polo.
Keep the change, Quint. Keep the change on your royalties. I just spoke to John Tillman as well. He thinks offensively, he's happy with the way they're shooting the ball, but he thinks from a spacing perspective, they need to be more spread out when they get in their 6-on-6 and they're dodging type opportunities. And keep in mind, you guys mentioned 6'7", 6'6", 6'5", the starting defense for Virginia. If you play in tight quarters, they will dominate you.
I'll give you 6'7". Luke Weirman is 6 for 7 on faceoffs. And even with Colucci trying to make it more of a 50-50 ball there, Maryland wins yet another draw. And Weirman's been a difference maker, as he's been all season. Spanos against Schroeder. We'll go to work on the short stick, Yeager, an All-American. This one trickles toward midfield. Kelly and Kastner. Kastner 39 and white, fastest player on the team. Kastner comes up with it. Kelly runs off. Maryland getting its defensive subs in to prevent a Virginia fast break.
He broke his stick on that play. He had a broken stick and he knew he couldn't play with it. That's why he ran off the field. A bizarro world, right? You think the ground ball is going to be all his? He looks down at it, looks at his stick, and he's got to run to the substitution box.
There is Boyden. We mentioned a D3 player of the year at Tufts. We saw the Jumbos yesterday. They'll take on RIT.
Zappatello's done masterful work this season dealing with picks. Getting underneath, scraping through.
Shot on the run by Colsey. It's blocked. McNaney and Boyden battle. McNaney.
2 ground balls for Logan McNaney, man. Again, picking his spots where he can fly out of that crease. Remember, nobody is assigned to the goalie in lacrosse. You got 6-on-6. Everyone's got, he's the free safety, so to speak, on those ground balls.
Anish Shroff, Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra. We will complete our championship picture after this game. Notre Dame won earlier today, beating Denver 13-6. Irish will defend their national championship on Monday. They'll face either Virginia or Maryland. Cavaliers and Terps have combined to win 4 of the last 6 NCAA championships. Spanos, feet in front. Maltz had it taken away. Ball's on the ground. Whalen vacuums. And Virginia gets something going in transition. 7 turnovers by Maryland. Whalen plays it to the wing. Skip past Schellenberger. He'll dodge from high in the restraining area as he brings Zappatello out.
Trying to pin some offensive personnel on the field now. Virginia keeps their Whalen and Yeager on the field.
Kelly was caught on defense, the attacker, and it looks like Yeager is staying on. So there's some numbers right here.
Terenzi out of the box. Step down rocket. Virginia ends a scoring drought of more than 16 minutes.
They caught him. Daniel Kelly, who's an attacker, plays strictly offense, was dying to get off the field. Yeager stayed the short stick D-midi. Virginia won the substitution game, which allowed Terenzi to come right down through the middle of the field and get this beautiful step down.
That is the definition of early offense. While it's not a fast break goal, it's that next phase. It's the substitution portion. And your decisions there, offensively and defensively, have consequences. At some point, Maryland's got to say, you know what? He's got a 10-yard start on me. I'm going to stay in the hole and try to play some team defense. Instead, Maryland bails out. Virginia makes him pay.
You know, Quint, if you are Daniel Kelly there and you're defending Chase Yeager, Chase Yeager's a short stick D-midi. You have to stay on that matchup rather than allow a 6-on-5.
Colucci lost his stick. Weirman wins another faceoff. 7 out of 8 for the All-American. Maryland looking for early offense. Good recovery that time by 16 and white George Fulton, the junior.
This is a matchup with Eric Spanos, who's played midfield 90% of the season up until the NCAA tournament. If you're 7 in black, I would take Schroeder up top at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock. If you try to fight him in a phone booth, you'll lose.
I don't think Spanos is the answer. I think Maryland's going to continue to hammer the shorties of Virginia, the midfield defenders, like this.
Here is Whittier. Feed in front to Maltz. Daniel Maltz with his second of the game, his 30th of the season, and his 7th, make it 8th of this NCAA tournament.
Yesterday when I asked John Tillman what he thought Virginia's matchups would be, he says, it doesn't really matter because we're going to attack the shorts regardless of who they cover. And suddenly Zach Whittier, 13 in black, is like the next reincarnation of an incredible assister. In the last 2 weeks, he's been throwing dimes to teammates, Garth.
Last week against Duke, I thought he had the best pass of the game. It was a skip pass to Daniel Maltz, who's been automatic. He's their best shooter from an accuracy perspective. Whittier is only shooting 11%. I would force him to beat you off the dodge and shoot if you're Virginia.
Down.
Here comes Weirman again. Clean exit, wing, feed, Morris with a big stop. Erdman, punt return clear.
Tell you, that face-off disparity is just a ticking time bomb.
And it's not just Weirman winning face-offs. Weirman is creating offense and scoring chances off a majority of those face-off wins.
Cavs still looking to get some answers in terms of Schellenberger against Ajax Zapatello. Millen has been stifled so far, and Griffin Schutz, who had 6 points in the regular season matchup, has yet to really put a quality shot on net.
They've got Millen parked at X. 6 points in the quarterfinals against Hopkins. Here's the cutter. Boyden rolls back. Backhanded shot. Not there.
Gorgeous set piece. That was a gorgeous set piece. The timing was just a little off because Boyden caught it too severe to the goal line extended. He didn't have enough angle.
Millen guarded by Schaller. Now Schellenberger. He had the first goal today for Virginia. A 4-time first-team All-American. Colsey's shot turned away. Schellenberger weaving through traffic. Cormier dropped the ball. Schellenberger somehow came away with it. Now he lost it. Transition opportunity for Maryland if they want it. McDonald looks like he'll slam on the brakes, and the Terps will settle.
You got some good matchups now. You've got Colsey and Schutz caught on defense. 13 and 24 in white.
Schutz now able to run off. It looks like Maryland will wait for its personnel. Jack Brennan. Spanos again. Top side. And the race to the sideline won by Jack Cadillac Chorus.
Maryland's done a nice job of taking Kastner, Cole Kastner, 3rd and 9 in white, and putting him off ball in the middle of the field, far off the ball. He's seldom covered ball carriers in this game.
Brennan against Yeager. Spanos feed in front, slam dunk, hat trick. Daniel Kelly, 6-2, Terrapins.
You never see Peyton Cormier drop a ball. He's the all-time leading goal scorer in NCAA history. The combination of Schellenberger to Cormier has been magic. But that causes a turnover, and Spanos sees that double team prematurely. I don't know why they're showing 2 here, Quint.
Communication. You get Schroeder and the other defender, Wills Burt, both flash to the eyes of the ball carrier, who's, by the way, not a threat to score a goal. They leave a player in front wide open. They're forcing Virginia to play off ball. That's been the weakness of this defense all season. Virginia's excellent one-on-one defenders on ball, But Maryland surgically is making this an off-ball game inside.
And now the challenge for Virginia. Can they solve Weirman? Nope.
So it's invert city. That is, they're putting middies behind the net. They're attacking exclusively with the ball from behind the net, forcing these Virginia defensive players to play an each with their backs to the goal and therefore their heads on a swivel. Very difficult.
And the advantage here for Maryland, Weirman has been such an inevitable force in this game at the faceoff X. Even if you give up a goal, you give up 2 in a row, it's going to be hard to get any sort of momentum to go on a run when Weirman is winning every faceoff. It's going to require the defense to make stops. Kelly spins it back to Maltz.
Maryland is just seizing the underdog status in this tournament. They were home dogs against Princeton, road dogs last week against Duke. They're dogs today.
They're going to attack the shorty here. Spanos against Erdman, jump shot, back up Maltz. And John Tillman is now in his 14th season at Maryland. 7 times already he's gotten his team to Championship Monday as we get a timeout from Lars Tiffany. He is the master tactician. He's had a week to prepare for Virginia. And this Terrapins team that was written off just a few weeks ago, up 4 with a spot in the finals on the line. Maryland with a 6-2 lead on Virginia. 7 seed versus 6 seed with a trip to the Championship Monday where Notre Dame awaits. Daniel Kelly, a hat trick. Luke Weirman dominating. And Virginia 2 for 19 shooting. After that first goal by Connor Schellenberger, the attack has done 0.
When it's all mixed up, you got to break it down. If you're Lars Tiffany, number one, you got to fix this defense from these invert scenarios.
Terps, meanwhile, playing the role of puppeteer. They've got Virginia on a string. Cavaliers able to get this one back. It's Griffin Kaloji. Big weekend for the Kaloji family. His sister plays for Florida. They got to championship weekend. Fell to Northwestern yesterday. Older brother Kyle Kaloji won 2 titles at UVA.
Anish, I just spoke to Kevin Cassis, the offensive coordinator for Virginia, and he told me they're settling for the first look and a shot. I mean, they're 2 for 19 right now, but he also said Maryland isn't sliding. They have to find ways to win matchups. So who's the matchup here? Is it Millen? Is it Schellenberger? Is it Schutz? Who can beat their guy?
Millen will try Schaller. Gives it up to Schellenberger. Millen setting the pick. Zapatello so good on those picks. And that's a little big switch they tried. It didn't work. Millen, question mark, with an exclamation at the end. McCabe Millen, the freshman, his 40th goal of the season. He needs 1 more to break Joe Yavoli's freshman record for goals.
That's winning a matchup.
He was awesome last week.
Yeah, this is a beautiful take here. The son of Hall of Famer Mark Millen and Aaron Millen, both in the U.S. Lacrosse Hall of Fame. McCabe does an outstanding job of feeling pressure. And when Schaller gets super aggressive right here, that allows him, since he kept his balance, to find his space and free his hands.
Thought he was so assertive last week in the right way, picking his spots. He got banged up on this play. Schaller got him kind of on the wing, on the elbow, and he's changing his arm pads. Top recruit in the country.
And this is big for Virginia. Colucci wins the faceoff, only the second faceoff won by Virginia. Peyton Cormier, 24 in white, first round against St. Joe's, 8 goals on 15 shots. Only 1 for 11 in the quarterfinals. 223 career goals, most in NCAA Division I men's lacrosse.
The reason they're not getting looks to Cormier right now is because Maryland is not sliding.
Maryland's winning the matchups on the perimeter. Therefore, they don't have to double team support and help. Somewhere along the line, Virginia's got to isolate against the Maryland midfield defenders. Take them somewhere they're uncomfortable, behind the net, from the wing. use Schellenberger maybe in the picking game niche. Have him set the pick and put Zappatello in a decision area. Like right now, here it comes.
Schellenberger out to set the pick for Colsey. Colsey trying to shake Eric Kolar. He got a piece of it. And it's scooped up by Colin Burlace. George Stamos, whose dad, by the way, is John. Not that John, but John Stamos. George Stamos had a big moment earlier this year, had the game-winning goal in overtime against Syracuse.
Yeah, in the Dome. Wants to be in Special Forces when he's done in College Park.
NCAA Division I Women's National Lacrosse Championship game is on ESPN. Number 1 Northwestern, number 2 BC for the title. Tomorrow, noon Eastern on ESPN. That shot blocked. Wayer picks it up. Jay Alter, Sheehan Stanwyck Birch, Charlotte North, and Dana Boyle will have the call from Cary, North Carolina. Skip pass to Terenzi. Fakes the pass. Over to the wing. Offsides. Maryland ball.
John Tillman's 10 yards onto the field by the substitution box. He's the king of restarts. Nobody practices restarts more than the Terps. You watch their Friday practices. It's a ton of full field, riding, clearing.
How about Spanos getting through the double by Boyden and Schellenberger? We haven't seen the same kind of ride from Virginia as we saw last week. Maryland, when we were at their practice yesterday, they repped against the ride quite a bit, as they like to do on Fridays. Molliver, that one hits the pipe. Schroeder had it, lost it, back to Maryland. Spanos slow to get up.
With a reset, and now you got a timeout, Maryland. Was that ball possessed? Oh no, it hit the post, so you get the full reset. Coach Tillman now managing clock and score, just going to drain this thing to halftime.
Now, so far, Maryland has controlled pretty much every aspect of this game. You start on the defensive end, in goal with Zappatello, at the face-off X with Weirman.
Luke Weirman from Westchester, Pennsylvania, has put on an absolute clinic, whether it's the pinch and pop maneuver out the front, countering with a clamp and rake backside, his handle, and his ability to put the ball on the 6x6. This is a guy who's won more face-offs than any player in Maryland history. He's as clutch as it gets.
He's been sensational in this NCAA tournament, 73%. And Kark, he was a 4th-round pick of the Denver Outlaws. How does his game translate to the PLL?
I think he does real well in the PLL because he's so athletic. And when you win a face-off in the PLL with the 32-second shot clock, you need a face-off specialist who can generate offense and can shoot. And Luke Weirman is that next generation of a face-off guy. His story is awesome, too. He's supposed to go to Fairfield University. He was recruited by Andy Copeland, who ended up coaching in the PLL with the Water Dogs. Copeland left Fairfield. Luke Weirman was in the market, and John Tillman swooped him up, and it was probably the best decision that Tillman ever made.
Yeah, he was a last-minute addition, and he's been a fixture on some of these powerhouse Maryland teams over the last few years. Quite the list of star power that we'll see this summer in the PLL that we also get to see on championship weekend. Schellenberger and Zappatello, both first-round picks, as were Entenmann and Kavanaugh, who we saw earlier today. Dobson, a second-rounder. Kastner, maybe a few years before we see him in the PLL. He was taken by the Redwoods, but he's going to go play basketball at Stanford this fall first.
It's an incredible value for a guy like Cole Kastner. As you look at Luke Weirman. The thing about Connor Schellenberger, I think he's going to be a great pro because his ability to process, to anticipate, and his game instincts. I think he can even play faster. Remember, the pro game's faster. Gets bigger, stronger, faster. And Shelley's ability to problem solve, to throw accurate passes, and to make great decisions, I think bodes well for him as a pro.
Maryland has problem solved Virginia so far. Up 6-3. In full control. There comes Molliver. Yeager tries to stay with him.
All single invert. Take the midi behind the goal.
Maryland got top side. Morris got a piece. And picked up by Virginia. Mike Prestopino. Van Weyer has 7 goals. Yeager has been a big factor in Virginia's 2 tournament wins so far.
A little bit lost in the shuffle. Virginia's win over Johns Hopkins in the quarterfinals. The defense did eventually figure it out. Remember, they were down 10-7 and shut out Hopkins for the last 23 minutes.
They only gave up 5 goals after the first quarter in a game that went to double overtime.
So that gives you hope if you're a Virginia fan. That the defense can figure out what Maryland's doing. You make some adjustments, you tighten up, you show that toughness that it takes.
And also that ride, it was vintage Virginia. Millen snaking through the defense. Boyden can't handle it.
That's
Black
not
jersey's
there.
closed.
That's not there.
Dangerous pass. Red evades Schellenberger.
Awesome handle on the end line, and then give Red credit because he saw that play happening, and he said, my teammate on the end line is going to need help.
Virginia in its ride. And John Tillman told me yesterday, there might be times where they got to put a shot on goal. That's a failure to advance. You got to get it across midfield before that shot clock hits 60. So we see Virginia, which hadn't gone to the ride on every possession. They went into that full ride. It scrambled Maryland. Virginia gets the ball back.
You know, Anish, you mentioned Virginia fans having hope because they shut down Johns Hopkins in the second half. John Tillman, though, is going to continue to dare this Virginia offense to make plays from the midfield. If the midfielders don't come alive in this game, Virginia doesn't have a chance.
No. Here comes Schutz against Alviti, the Vermont transfer. Millen. That's off the stick of Colsey. Maryland's got it. Transition opportunity for the Terps. Burles puts it on goal and connects.
They can't stop the bleeding. Quint, you know, Terp Nation knows the name Burles. His father, Brian, was a legendary multi-time first-team All-American who was as tough as nails and made plays with the big stick like the young buck is doing right now.
They called him Bubba. He carries in with confidence. And nobody is protected from mayhem, whether it's Weirman or a long pole goal. The Terps giving Virginia a taste of their own medicine.
No insurance for that, huh? Now, you mentioned Bubba, Schmeisser Award winner in '92. That honor goes to the top defender in the country.
That's Terp territory, that award. I mean, you think of the list of some of the greats.
Even in the Tillman era, some of the long sticks.
I mean, I think about
we've seen
Chris Pasavia, Lee Zink. I don't know if they all won the award, but Maryland synonymous with great defense. Yeah. Billy Ralph back in my day. The Yorktown Cat of Clark's guy from a year ago. Brett Makar, who wore that #1 jersey.
Earhart.
Brian Reese. Earhart. Muller. Guys in the PLL on every roster. Like Maryland.
Half the Whipsnakes defense
is defense you know?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Maryland is defense you, without a doubt.
Yeah, you think of Penn State linebacker?
Yeah.
It goes back even beyond that with guys like Dan Tracy in the middle 1980s. You come by the crease, you get your head taken off. It's that simple.
Jack Brennan from Rochester, New York. Only 3 goals this season. Did have 1 in the quarterfinals. 10-second differential, game clock, and shot clock.
This has been a disaster for the University of Virginia. And you see the body language. Coach Tiffany's going to have to be part psychologist, part tactician.
Kelly, low sidewinder. Here's Chismar. Took a big hit early, and Clark, we have not seen much of Noah Chismar in this first half.
Well, you saw that first hit, and he was hanging around on offense. He's a short stick defensive midfielder. He played attack in high school, so maybe they liked the matchup, but he had to deal with the contact and the physicality of the Terp defense.
Final seconds, Terenzi down the alley, meets resistance, Kolar. Time expires, Maryland puts the clamps and the shackles on this Virginia offense through the first 30 minutes. The Cavaliers came into the game averaging more than 14 goals per game. John Tillman, the master tactician, holding Virginia to 3. Luke Weirman dominating the faceoffs. This defense, the veteran presence of Logan McNaney, and Maryland 1 half away from another trip to the national championship under John Tillman. Down to Kark.
Ajax, how would you characterize your defense in the first half?
We're just playing together. That's the biggest thing we've been harping on all year, just playing team defense. It's something Maryland's been priding themselves on long before any of us got here, so just falling back on being the Terp defender.
What's the best way to play Virginia's pick game?
You just got to talk. They do a really great job of setting picks all over the field. Our short sixes have done a great job of not only navigating them, but also talking us through it. That's been the biggest thing, is just communication, communication, communication.
Thank you, Ajax.
Thank you very much.
Ajax Zapatello, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year, a first-team All-American, and the first defensive player in more than 20 years to win the Enners Award. Maryland with a 7-3 chokehold at the half. Let's get you to the studio. Chris Cotter and Matt Ward is standing by.
You know, I just caught up with Lars Tiffany as well, and obviously dealing with Luke Weirman has been a monumental task. So he feels like they might have to put a poll at the faceoff to kind of limit his production. If they do that, expect Virginia to go into a 10-man ride after a Weirman win at the faceoff X. But make no mistake about it, offensively, they have had big-time struggles in terms of canning shots. 36% shooting percentage on the season today, only 14%.
Another face-off win for Maryland. Now, Weirman now has won 11 of 13. What Colucci has done for Virginia since taking the majority of draws for Gabriel, he has prevented more times than not those clean exits which lead to transition opportunities.
Weirman is in complete control, that time raking it directly out to a winger. Now, Virginia's adjustment defensively, slower to double team.
Well, they were slow to double team. They didn't double team. And Cadillac Chorus gets his first goal of the game.
It was a little quiet in the first half. He can do it all. He is about as old school gets. He would have fit in well in the 1980s playing for Buddy Beardmore. Wing a face-off, play some O, play some D, get the water, round up the balls after practice. Look at him, he's sliding to the turf and uses that free hand to keep his balance. Jack Chorus can do it all.
I agree with you, Quint. I look at the most valuable players on the team. It's Logan McNaney, it's Ajax Zapatello, it's Luke Weirman, and it's Cadillac, who just had a birthday yesterday as well. Turned 23 years old. Not a bad day to be a birthday boy.
And maybe he didn't forget to take the candle off the cake before he started eating his.
Well, that was Paul last night at Nitty's Tavern. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Look, when you're an Italian guy, the food comes first. The candle can wait.
12-2 face-offs. Luke Weirman.
Feed inside, Spanos. Maryland tacks on. It is 9-3. Make it, take it, turn and rake it.
Quint, you mentioned Cadillac can do everything, including picking up the balls. Staying on wings on faceoffs allows him to be productive in early offensive sets. This time, dodging down through the middle of that defense in that through pass to Spanos. Spanos smells this coming, man. He fills that gap and knows he's going to get the rock.
Now, Schroeder, 49, is ball watching, head's not on a swivel. Spanos is at X, and he says, you know, this guy's not respecting me. He's staring at the ball carrier, and he curls topside and presents that visual target.
Spanos had a 4-point game against Virginia earlier this season. 4 goals in round 1. Earned honorable mention All-America honors. Gabriel took the last faceoff, committed a violation. Colucci this time. Virginia with a rare face-off win. Weyer all the way. He can score. Good look. Bouncer high. Weyer's got 7 goals. Millen fishes it out.
You needed that one, didn't you?
Virginia needs a lot more than that. Shooting 3 for 22. Below 15%. Schellenberger 1 for 2 shooting. Only 1 shot in the last 29 minutes of the opening half. That's maybe the best offensive player in the country.
What's the adjustment, personnel or scheme?
Schutz has that sledgehammer downhill dodge. Ball stays in his stick. Stayed in his stick too long. Schutz gets pushed back.
What a double.
Maryland, imperious and formidable, just imposing its will right now.
Great flip. Great flip.
Terps with a chance and a laser high by A.J. Larkin, the redshirt freshman from Baltimore, back up to the Terps. You get the sense Virginia right now is like a poker player on tilt.
That was Russ last night.
Russ was fine. He was eating heartily. Russ DeLynn, statistician extraordinaire. For all the press members wondering why the halftime buffet is half gone.
What's the over-under on dogs?
3.5.
7.5 for the weekend.
Whittier to Spanos. He dropped it. Big ground ball.
Terps can be patient, but that's the type of turnover that really plagued them in their losses. Like fundamental type stuff.
Virginia knocked it out of bounds. Stays with Maryland.
Just simple exchanges. Done a much better job in the last couple of weeks in that department.
This was a Virginia team in 3 of its last 4 games leading into the NCAA tournament. They gave up at least 18 goals. Brennan, Maltz, Maryland exhibiting patience.
They can and will.
Kyle Morris in goal, making his first career start. Urksa doesn't want any part of Kastner. Spanos behind the back. Shot clock at 4, and Maryland will get its defensive subs on. They'll throw this in the corner. Kark, at what point, if you're Virginia, do you just say, we got to go full 10-man ride?
Now, I think right off the next face-off, and Lars Tiffany told me that they were going to employ that. I think it has to happen on that next face-off. When Peyton Cormier has the ball, he's been silent because Maryland is not sliding from the crease. This midfield needs to step up and become Dodgers if Virginia has any shot.
Maryland has been so sound on defense. Quinn, you mentioned the shooting struggles of Virginia. How much of that is what the Terps are doing defensively?
Oh, 90% of it.
Millen inside to Schellenberger. That's the best look they've had in a long time, and they couldn't get it. Alviti off the ground.
Great grounder, 77 in black, finds Zappatello, man.
The net is open, and now Morris retreats in.
Ajax makes all the simple plays look so easy. I'll give Alviti, 77, a lot of credit. It's a first-time grounder in the defensive zone, cleared efficiently. But not only can Ajax cover, he can transition the ball. His decision-making is on point. I love everything about his game. He could play in front of me any day of the week.
He is part of the great Oregon Trail of lacrosse, a Portland native.
What a pod of excellence.
Started with Peter Baum. Tuarton winner from Colgate.
Sam Handley,
Alex Slusher.
Tucker Dordovic, Ross Scott, Chop Gallagher, Ajax Zappatello. All like in the same community, trained together, played club together, grew up together, all D1. Many are moving on to the PLL.
Maryland with a jumper. Shot blocked.
Ryan Powell, very influential with the Rhino lacrosse and getting that going in Portland.
Weyer Fakes the pass. Stops. Whips it. Millen's got the backup. 1 goal in the last 17 minutes.
That shot shows you the frustration. It's like a long pole saying, you know, you guys have had the ball enough in settled sets.
Schellenberger skip. Cormier. 1 more. Doorstep. There it is. Noah Chismar. It's still 9-4 with 9.5 to go in the third. Noah Chismar Jr. out of Baltimore. 15th career goal. Mom Cara played at Johns Hopkins. Dad Richard, best-selling author in the horror genre.
Great ball movement. Skip pass. 1 more down low to Chismar, who played attack in high school. Really a walk-on for this Virginia program. Got into school on his own, on the virtues of his strong academic career at St. Paul's School in North Baltimore. I remember Noah as a little tyke when I trained his brother, his older brother Billy, played up in the NESCAC for Colby, and Billy was a goalie. Noah used to show up as like a 10-year-old and help me out.
Colucci wins the faceoff, accelerates ahead. There's the trail check, popped into the air, ball on the ground. And that's got to be deflating for Virginia. We'll see if Maryland can clear, but Kark, that's a rare faceoff win, and you can't turn it into a possession.
No, you win the faceoff, but you don't win the overall battle for possession, and that takes the life out of you. But to put things in perspective after that Chismar goal, too, with Ben Ware and Noah Chismar, they've been staying on for offense, and Ben Ware is marinating on the offensive set. He's a long stick midi, but that just tells you the lack of punch they are getting from the midfield, that they need their short stick defensive midfielder to score goals. Ben Ware is part of the 6-on-6 early offense, and he's staying on. This has been a defensive effort led by Jesse Bernhardt, the defensive coordinator. They are flying to the ball. This is perfect team defense in the 6-on-6 sets for Maryland. Just beyond impressive.
Yeah, might be an ACC revenge tour for Maryland. They beat Duke in the quarters. Chance to avenge a regular season loss to Virginia. Morris presses out of the cage. And they might have a chance to avenge a regular season loss to Notre Dame on Monday. Shot clock at 4. At 3. And that did not get a piece of the goalie or the pipe. The Virginia faithful hoping to find any shred, any sliver of momentum. Down by 5. We saw them come back against Johns Hopkins a week ago. We saw Maryland come back against Duke a week ago.
Surprised Virginia hasn't used Schellenberger as a picker. I'm surprised they haven't tried to get Burlace, 40 in black, to switch onto some ball carriers. They told me yesterday that's the guy we want to take to the rack, and we want to use Connor as a picker, 1 in white. Just haven't seen that.
This Virginia attack, which is the lifeblood of the offense, has 2 goals. 1 by Schellenberger to start the game, 1 by Millen. Colsey inverts red. He goes down. Colsey has scored in 10 straight. Nothing there topside.
Got to beat the shorty.
He'll try it again. Can't do it. Now Schutz, who's been quiet today.
Running the weave.
As has Cormier. Pinballs off a defender, throws too high. Off the stick of Boyden. Last touch, Virginia. Maryland ball, unforced error. 12 turnovers for the Hoos. Virginia in its 10-man ride. Maryland has to get it across midfield before the shot clock hits 60. You can go over and back in the first 20 seconds.
That's nice. That's
Terps
exactly what they drilled yesterday in practice. They bring Spanos, the attackman, over the midfield line. He catches it around 5 yards shy of the midfield line and immediately redirects. Remember, Kastner's playing center field. They're stretching him out from sideline to sideline. That, you want to clip that if you're a high school coach on how to clear against a 10-man. It's right there.
Shot and a goal, Ryan Siracusa.
Lars Tiffany is in disbelief. The route seems to be on. Just like this team, it's all been growth throughout the course of the season, and for Siracusa, it's been over his career. A scout team player making the most of his opportunity and popping a corner.
At the top of the broadcast, we highlighted the matchup between maybe the best offensive player in the country and arguably the best defensive player in the country, Connor Schellenberger and Ajax Zapatello. The last time these two met in the postseason, Zapatello double-bageled the great Connor Schellenberger. 0.0 assists. He's held Schellenberger to just 1 goal today. Zapatello clearly winning his matchup. Maryland clearly in control of this game.
Spoke to Ajax this week, and he credited Jesse Bernhardt not only for being his defensive coordinator, but the mentorship that goes with that. And they sit down and go over the game plan. Many times they'll stay after practice and just rep some of the dodging patterns that he's likely to see on game day. Young man living on Chipotle in College Park and Maggiano's when he come here to Philadelphia. Two dinners in a row at Maggiano's.
Yeah, that's a lot of carbs.
You know, you look at this offense for Virginia, and it's been a masterful defensive performance by Maryland, but Kevin Cassis, the offensive coordinator in the huddle just now, he emphasized to his group, you have to make contact with the picks. Now, the problem is, if you watch Ajax Zapatello and a lot of these post defenders from Maryland, they're playing through the picks in terms of their body and the way they get through.
Getting underneath. Yep.
Yeah, it's next level.
Millen works on Canfield. He got banged up last week. Here's Schutz. Oh, took a big hit. Bounced off Kolar. Schutz again. Left hand. McNaney the save. Only the 8th shot on goal for Virginia.
McNaney gobbles rebounds. Does a nice job of seizing the moment around the net. He's got a bunch of ground balls to his credit in this game as well.
Clark, you were at Hofstra last week, where in the second half, Maryland had 9 goals and held Duke to 9 shots.
What Luke Weirman does to you. I mentioned in the first half, if you're not careful and you let the Terps to hang around, he strangles the life out of any type of philosophy you have offensively and defensively. I saw the Duke short stick D middies, who are, for my money, the best in the country. Aidan McGuire and Jack Gray and Jake Caputo. They were so gashed by the fourth quarter because of the possessions and the length of the possessions that Maryland had. There's just no juice left.
Menke.
How's Virginia's juice right now, Clark?
I don't see it.
What's the feeling you get?
I feel like it's down. When I was in the huddle, just the body language and the overall fight, it seemed to be honestly like they've been defeated.
That was a tough shot there by Millen. Almost a desperation heave. 5 saves for McNaney. They don't get easier than that.
Logan made it back from that.
Zapatello thought about putting him one on cage, but I don't think Maryland's going to give Virginia an opening here. They handle the ride. Morris gets back in net. Spanos off the scramble. Bingo!
Quint, you were very astute in terms of Cole Kastner and breaking this ride from Virginia. They are forcing him to commit to one side and then to redirect, which opens up the middle, and then it's a numbers game.
Handle under pressure. Just simply brilliant right here. You're dealing with the check. You go one-handed there for the cradle. You know Spanos is open on the backside, and you throw it to space. Great clear. Burlace handling, he face dives, and then he gets to celebrate. John Tillman spent an enormous amount of time this week dealing with repping the Virginia ride. His scout team deserves tons of credit for the good looks. We watched it yesterday in practice for 20 minutes on a Friday. And you wonder why Maryland clears and rides with such efficiency in May.
Yeah, well, think of it this way. If Cole Kastner's a free safety, it's almost like a quarterback using his eyes or misdirection to get the safety to bite one way. That's what they're doing in the clear game.
He can't cover both sides of the field, and the failure to clear typically against a 10-man is when you try to run it up one side and you corner yourself and you bring the sideline in as an extra defender. So Maryland, when they get that ball reversal, it's kind of like a two-way go, and they put Kastner as the free safety. He's got to cover a wide out on both hash marks. Like, I can't get there.
Maryland has been the puppet master. Whittier to Spanos.
This was unpredictable, though, Anish. I mean, come on. 5 losses, some of them brutal. An offense that was sputtering.
If you're wondering, only 3 teams with 5 or more losses have ever won a national championship. Virginia did it in 2011. Steele Stanwyck and the Cavaliers beat Maryland in the title game. That was John Tillman's first season in College Park. Duke did it in 2013 when Brendan Fowler won every faceoff against Syracuse. And North Carolina did it to Maryland in 2016. The unseeded Tar Heels, led by Steve Pontrello, Austin Pafani, Joe Bresci's team,
All of those
upset
teams,
the Terps.
All those teams share like that second win component. And I talked to Ajax about that this week. I said, at a time when the offense was sputtering, how did you guys stay together? And they did. They said we needed to give the offense confidence. It was just a matter of us putting the right puzzle pieces in the right spots. So give the players a lot of credit for not turning on one another when you have a team that was so dominant defensively and struggling on offense.
Terenzi, skip pass. Schellenberger brings it in. Shot clock under 20. Virginia just struggling to get a shot. They do. It misses the cage. Think about the task for Virginia right now. You're down by 7, and through almost 3 quarters, you've only had 9 shots on goal the entire game. Millen, less than 10 to shoot. Schellenberger lost it. Zappitello all over him. Shot clock at 2. Maryland's bench applauds the defensive effort.
This is a masterclass of defense. Owning one-on-one matchups, but switching in the middle of the possession. An example of that was Peyton Cormier. When he's inside and he doesn't have the ball, they are not sliding off of him. When he had the ball that time, they have a call where it's a quick slide, knowing that he's not going to make a pass off the dodge. That Cormier, when he has the ball in his stick, it's all about a shot. So they sent that double quick.
You give John Tillman a week to prepare and look out. His overall tournament record, John Tillman, is 30-10. 5 of those losses are in the national final game where you only have 1 day to prepare.
So that makes him, what, 28-5
with a week to prepare
in games outside of Memorial Day in the NCAA tournament since coming to College Park. Lars Tiffany, 13-2 in the NCAA tournament at Virginia. And there is history here, as we've said. 2019 controversial quarterfinals. Virginia, when they had the fairy dust, got that call off the crossbar. That shot misses and beat Maryland in overtime. 2021, one of the best championship games we've seen. Virginia over Maryland by a goal. Terps were undefeated entering that game. And then 2022, Maryland vanquished Virginia in the quarterfinals en route to a perfect season.
If you're Notre Dame and you're watching this game, I think the hardest thing for Kevin Corrigan is going to be to convince his team that Maryland is a different animal than you faced a month or 2 ago.
They've got a 7-goal lead on Virginia. A Terrapin team that languished and stumbled and staggered into this NCAA tournament. They're puffing out their chest, and they are 15 minutes away from playing for a national championship. Maryland 15 minutes away from the national championship game. Paul Carcaterra with their head coach, John Tillman.
Coach, after 3 quarters, you've held Virginia to 4 goals. What's been the point of emphasis defensively?
Obviously, kind of get back, make sure we get the right guys on, which I think our guys have done a good job of. Even if we haven't had a good offensive possession, we've gotten our defensive people on, which allows us to go 6v6. They're so good in the 6v5 and the 5v5. So we want to get them to 6v6, get back, and then no matchups, communicate through any of the picks, and let's give Logan shots that he can save.
Thank you, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Ajax Zapatello has been every bit the first-team All-American this Saturday. He's held Connor Schellenberger to 1 goal. Schellenberger's touches have been limited. He has not scored or registered a point since scoring the opening goal of this game. And at the face-off X, Luke Weirman has dictated all afternoon. If you're Maryland, you now have to start thinking about Monday. If your lead holds here early in the fourth quarter, at what point do you start thinking about resting Luke Weirman? Certainly not now. A lot of ball to be played. But you want to save some tread for Monday's battle with Will Lynch should you get there. Weirman wins this faceoff, dumps it behind the cage to Spanos.
Couldn't be more impressed with the grad students' versatility on these draws. Again, if you were with us earlier, he's winning them out the front. It's a pinch and pop. Now he's clamping and raking to himself. We've seen him drag the ball to his wing guys. Unbelievable variety of moves at his disposal.
The Women's NCAA Championship game tomorrow, noon Eastern, from Cary, North Carolina. BC and Northwestern, the top 2 seeds. BC beat Syracuse in the semis last night. Northwestern a winner against Florida. Jay Alter, she and Stanwyck Birch. Charlotte North and Dana Boyle will have the call tomorrow. Kark?
Yeah, the matchup I'm looking forward to is the Northwestern attack. Izzy Skane, Aaron Kuykendall, Madison Taylor against Shea Dulce and Cage for BC. The sophomore has been incredible. Thought she was fantastic, Quinn. I don't know if you got to catch any of that, but from a goalie perspective, Dulce is just so fundamentally sound and took over that game against Syracuse.
She's tall, but she's really bendy. My daughter's a new goalie, and I'm like, you need to watch BC. You need to watch BC. If you live in the Research Triangle in North Carolina, or maybe even in Charlotte, you got to get to that championship game, okay? There's such quality on the field.
Shot clock violation on Maryland.
To see it in person, it can change somebody's life.
New goalie for Virginia's Matthew Nunes. So Nunes, who was benched today in favor of Kyle Morris, who made his first career start, back in there. And Kark, that tells me Virginia knows its only avenue back into this game is the ride. It's with quick outlet passes, and you're essentially banking on Matthew Nunes to get you some transition one way or the other.
Spot on, Anish, because Matthew Nunes, if you watch him on tape throughout the course of the year, he's one of the best outlet passers in college lacrosse. You're down 7 goals. You're going to have to play hyperspeed. Ben Ware is going to have to be involved in some scoring opportunities, the short stick D middies with Chase Yeager. And the only way that happens is quick outlet passes and play at hyperspeed.
Cormier trying to fight through an armada of Terps. Now Schellenberger. We just haven't seen him used as a picker much today. That's what Virginia coaches told us. That's what John Tillman anticipated, and it has not been a part of the calculus for Virginia all afternoon. Schellenberger, just 3 shots, 1 goal. Cormier, 0 for 3. Schutz, 0 for 2.
There's a lot of things you can do with a star player when he's being marked the way Ajax is covering Shell. You can take him to the hot area inside it and make Ajax the double team man. Saying, okay, Ajax, you're going to go double the ball, or are you going to leave Connor, or are you going to stay with him? Virginia has been very lacking creativity in their attack today.
Connor's also been a first-team All-American as a midfielder, so he's a lethal dodger. If you watch in the open, some of the clips we had there, he was scoring from in front of the cage. It doesn't have to be at goal line extended or at X behind. You could flush him anywhere in the offensive set and make it harder for Ajax to play up top a little bit.
Maryland just playing clock and score here. They're content.
Running some more midfielders as well.
The fewest goals Virginia has scored under Lars Tiffany, 7. It's happened 3 times.
This view will give you an indication about Maryland. What I love is their approaches on the ball, their stance and stick positioning as they give up a layup. Way to go.
And that is Cormier right on the doorstep. His first goal of the game, just his 2nd point. It's 11-5, still a long road ahead for Virginia. And Connor Schellenberger, with that assist, breaks Gary Gates' NCAA tournament career points record.
That's a much better pick, but this is just an off-ball issue where you got ball watching and staring upfield, and Cormier pulls the string. A little look away. Shelley to Cormier. Cormier, the all-time leader in goals scored. He had his co-pilot in Schellenberger. You think about all the great goal scorers, and they had that. This is the record that was just eclipsed on that last play.
You know what's so nice about that feed? How quick his wrists are. And when you watch Schellenberger feed and why he's the greatest feeder in ACC history, statistically, he rarely gets balls knocked down because his release and how quick his top hand is when he triggers that pass is so quick. Defenders don't have time to get their sticks in the passing lanes to knock it down.
And there's a no-look component to many of his passes, too. Again, I think he projects to be a big-time star at the PLO, at the pro level. I think he'll be better.
It will be the first time where all the attention isn't on him, too. He's playing around some stars, Jeff Teat and guys like Brian Costabile for the New York Atlas. He's going to be able to breathe and have an acclimation period where the target isn't on his back every single time he touches the ball.
Schellenberger determined, his shot blocked.
Tougher read will be how Cormier transitions to the pro level.
Terenzi spins back. Now think about what we have seen in the ACC over these last 4 years. Pat Cavanaugh, who still plays on Monday, Schellenberger and Brennan O'Neill, their careers intertwined. They faced each other quite a bit. O'Neill's career is over. Schellenberger's career holding on by a thread right now. Schutz has his shot stopped by McNaney. Cavanaugh's got a chance for a second title. It's been a treat to watch those three over the last 4 years. It'll be a treat to continue to watch them over the next few years in the PLL.
Empty.
McNaney thinking about it, launches, and the backup to Nunes and Virginia.
Tell you, that's the type of shot. Logan's mom, Kim, tough weekend to be a goalie mom, but she's got to stand up as if Logan was going to buy one from long distance.
He did score a goal against Ohio State a couple of years ago. The brick wall from the glass town of Corning. Notre Dame beat Denver earlier today. The Irish have won 13 in a row. They'll play for a national championship on Monday and to try to defend their title. Maryland, 10 minutes away with a 6-goal lead on Virginia. If you're looking ahead, the Terps played the Irish in South Bend March 3rd. Notre Dame won 14-9. If somehow Virginia's able to come back, Cavaliers 0 for 2 this season against the Irish. Last time out in Charlotte ACC tournament, Virginia drubbed by 9 goals. Kark, though, you called that Maryland-Notre Dame game back in March at South Bend. I remember football team was out there in full force. What do you remember?
I remember the football team being out there supporting Jordan Faison, and he scored a goal right in front of them, and they completely erupted. But big picture, I thought Ajax Zapatello did a fantastic job on Pat Cavanaugh. Cavanaugh had a goal on him one-on-one, but similar to the shot that Schellenberger had. It was one of those low-angle, fancy trick shots that Zapatello was there. So I thought he did a fantastic job on Pat Cavanaugh. But when you spin forward and you think of the matchups, Maryland has the ingredients, as we see Schellenberger here lose the ball. They have the ingredients. Yeah, that's Zapatello. They have the ingredients right now to play with anyone. They have Luke Weirman at the X, a lockdown defender who could take the quarterback out of the mix, and then you have Logan McNaney. This is the most experienced goalie in the NCAA tournament. As crazy of a run we've seen from Liam Entenmann, Logan has more experience.
Think about this, Kark. It's a battle between the last 2 national champions. The 2 goalies were the last 2 most outstanding players of championship weekend. You got John Tillman playing in that championship game for the 8th time should Maryland hold on. 8 times. Chance to win his 3rd title.
One interesting nugget about that game, Pat Cavanaugh may not have had his best offensive output. It was still okay. He had 4 caused turnovers in that game. More than Ajax Zapatello, the defender, had.
find a way to make an impact.
Syracuse up, chorus. Erdman and Nunes got in the way. Ball loose in the crease. Weyer knocks it down and allows Nunes to clamp. 6-goal deficit for Virginia. Less than 8.5 to play. Winner to Monday's championship. Weyer up ahead. What's been the most impressive part, Quint, of Maryland's late season turnaround? Really, it happened over these last 3 weeks.
The offensive transformation. Okay, all season long, you knew Luke Weirman's Luke Weirman. Logan McNaney, solid as a rock. Defense was good, even when they lost to Hopkins 7-5. You're like, wow, they just held Johns Hopkins to 7 goals. But the offense was so poor. And I remember texting Clark, I'm like, I'm not sure Maryland's going anywhere with this personnel on offense. There's no alpha. Who can get to the rack? And somehow John Tillman, Coach Phipps, and the group moved some parts around, found a style that works for them. It's a kind of a passing style out of invert sets, and confidence is brimming. An amazing turnaround. The product they've put on the field in this tournament, the shooting percentage spike.
Look what they're doing now. Virginia
They always
struggling
could
to get
play
a shot.
good defense.
Millen got his hands free. It's his second of the game. The freshman had 3 goals, 3 assists last week. 11-6, 7:13 left.
This is effective, I think, for the sheer fact that they're changing their dodging patterns with Millen and Schellenberger trying to go from X, not having a ton of success. But if you watch McCabe Millen down the stretch, he's had a lot of goals like this, sweeping across the heart of a defense and making it count on the run while his feet are moving, Quint.
They finally get a matchup, too. You know, it's the first time that Schaller or a pole was not on McCabe Millen. From Logan McNaney's view, here's what it looks like. You know, so difficult. He's on it. He's on it, man. He is on it. So
With
difficult.
that goal, Millen sets the Virginia freshman goal-scoring record, 41 goals. One better than Joe Yavoli.
I mean, obviously he's got a bright future. I love everything about him. His compete level, how hard he played last week against Johns Hopkins. He'll benefit enormously from being around Connor this year.
That was a chance for Virginia. Maryland comes up with the ball.
You know, Quint, you mentioned when we were texting back and forth earlier in the season, no alpha. The changing of the parts became the alpha for the Maryland offense. They have done an incredible job with a couple of the switches. With Urksa playing some midfield, Spanos playing some attack, Molliver now coming out of the box. It's created short stick matchups that force defenses to at least show, and then the ball spins.
I don't know if you're Notre Dame, if you take the bait. You know what I mean? Like, when you put your poles on certain guys, Maryland likes that, and they become a passing offense out of the invert. I think the challenge for Notre Dame is going to be not to slide and make Maryland beat them off the dodge. Why slide to those weak threats, those invert guys? It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's worked. This was a team that in the Big Ten tournament, its last game before the first round tilt against Princeton, they lost to Penn State 19-9. Spanos working, crease feed. Brennan, the tally.
You can't beat them with sheer muscle. Beat them with heart. This is a total effort play by Spanos, who's been put together with duct tape. He's got a knee brace. He's got a wrapped hamstring. He's got a heart.
You got a ball-watching defender right there, standing halfway between his man and the ball carrier without a backside slide. It's a dream finish. Planted on the crease. Team defense is about being decisive. You either go or you don't go, but you can't stand halfway. And if you do, you better have support. Weirman's still in the game.
Still in there. Colucci wins this one. And was hit from behind. He was in the crease as well. And he's slow to get up.
Virginia added 3 Fogos this season in the portal. Colucci, Gabriel, Matt D'Souza from Binghamton. Just the way he lands, it's going to be a little bit of road rash, potential shoulder, collarbone.
Maryland is the 7th seed as Colucci comes off. He's had to battle Weirman most of the afternoon. Only 2 7 seeds have won a championship since the tournament expanded back in 2003. Duke did it in 2013, and Virginia did it in 2011. Fourth trip to championship weekend in 5 years for Virginia as Menke shot, got a piece of McNaney. Last year, Virginia's season ended in the semifinals. They had a 2-goal lead late against Notre Dame. Liam Entenmann stuffed Griffin Schutz on the doorstep. It would have made it a 3-goal game with about 2.5 to play. Notre Dame tied the game, won it in overtime, and then beat Duke on Monday for their first title in school history. Maryland a season ago, coming off that undefeated campaign in 2022, eclipsed in round 1 by Army in College Park. Schutz had 4 goals in the first meeting against Maryland. He has been quiet today. A turnover by Virginia, 4.5 to play. Do the Terps go? They do. Shot blocked. It comes back to Maryland, and now expect them to squeeze it. Urksa playing keep away from Kastner, waiting for the cavalry. The NCAA men's lacrosse coverage continues on Monday with the national championship game. 1 Eastern on ESPN. Looks like Notre Dame and Maryland. For more information, visit NCAA.com.
We cover this tournament. We meet these student athletes. We spend basically a spring with them. And the finality of this event hits home pretty hard. Game 7s. Like, there's no more college lacrosse for Connor Schellenberger.
Peyton Cormier. Cole Kastner.
Feels like Connor's been playing for Virginia for like 10 years. And tip of the cap to him. It's a guy who I cannot recall one instance where he didn't give his all.
It's the ultimate teammate. I've talked to so many players from Virginia and coaches over the years. I've never heard one bad word about Connor Schellenberger. He did it the right way. He did it with effort. He showed up before every single meeting. See McCabe Millen missing that shot right there.
Same guy, Clark. Win or lose.
Yes.
Whether Virginia was ranked number 1 or struggling ranked number 10, Connor was the same guy. A lot of credit goes to his parents.
Yes.
Scott and Stephanie.
They're amazing people, too, and they raised a brilliant young man. He showed up every week with a notepad, approached the lacrosse game like Peyton Manning does in football, and he's a complete lax rat. I mean, he's loved the game from the moment he picked up a stick, and growing up outside of Charlottesville, worshipped Steele Stanwyck and watched every move of Steele Stanwyck from the fence at Klockner. And his career, and I said this last year, and some people thought I was a little nuts, but it's the best player in Virginia lacrosse history, and this performance should not tarnish that or take anything away from that statement, because he's the first player ever to be a 4-time first-team All-American. He's the all-time leading point producer, and he did it in 4 years. There was no COVID year with Connor Schellenberger. And he did what no player has done in the modern era. It's being a first-team All-American in 2 positions, midfield and attack.
And today he set the NCAA career record for points in the tournament, breaking Gary Gates' mark, which stood since 1990. 12-6 Maryland, 2:54 to go. But Schellenberger's career coming to an end. And Kark, Quint, when this bracket was released and we saw all the prognosticators, Maryland's going down to Princeton. Maryland's got no chance against Duke. How many times in the text threads did the 3 words appear? Tillman in May.
Yes, I actually had someone send me this mock-up T-shirt, and the T-shirt says January, February, March, April, Tillman.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
It's incredible what he's done. You think of his early teams at Maryland, pre-shot clock, and he played a style that certainly wasn't television friendly, the possession shots, the long possessions, but he didn't quite have the horses, and he still found a way to win. That 2011 quarterfinal win, Kark, against Syracuse, that team that he knocked off was one of the best teams we've seen not to win a national championship. You can say that from a talent standpoint with the Duke team that he knocked off last week. That 2012 team, again, get into the tournament. Nobody's really giving you a chance. You make it to the championship, lost to a great Loyola team. And then when we saw him start to get the Rambos and the Heacocks and the horses, he ran. 2016, they had a great team, upended by North Carolina. We get a timeout from Tillman. 2017, they break through, beat Ohio State in the final. And then 2022, simply put, one of the best teams we've ever seen.
It's incredible. It really is. And when you think about it, he's had multiple offensive coordinators over the last 4 and 5 years. You date back to J.L. Reppert, and then it was Bobby Benson, and then Jake Bernhardt, and now Michael Phipps. And he's won different ways. We look back at like the 2011, it was slow ball, and everyone thought there should be a shot clock then, and that eventually helped lacrosse down the road. But then he won, putting up some of the best numbers of all time 2 years ago when Logan Wisnauskas won the Tewaaraton Trophy. That offense was one of the best we've ever seen.
Yeah, and 2021, oh, by the way, in the semifinals, they blew out a Duke team that had Michael Sowers and Brennan O'Neill. Today's Capital One player of the game, it's Ajax Zapatello. He put the clamps on Connor Schellenberger in a playoff game yet again. 1 versus 1, the top 2-3, the top 2 of the top 3 picks in the PLL draft. And look at him. It just
Hunting checks, good footwork. He's solid in all phases, whether it's ground ball play, making nice outlets, good decision-making defensively. His ability to weave his way through picks is going to really help him out. This is a guy, again, from Portland, Oregon, the part of that Portland pipeline, where he told me quality over quantity. You got a handful of guys now playing high-level D1 and in the PLL. His dad, Brian, worked for Nike. As a youngster, went to preschool with Alex Slusher, who played at Princeton and Duke. They said they do one-on-ones in Slusher's backyard. That's where it all starts. Someone had to play O, somebody had to play D.
You saw Ajax when he was little, too, in 8th grade. Everyone was a foot taller than him, too. He was the runt of the litter and kind of matured late. And he won with heart and skill and technique early on. And then once his body develops, he's become one of the great defenders ever to put on a Terp jersey.
There's royalty in his name, too. Ajax, for those familiar with Greek mythology, is one of the mighty heroes of the Iliad, second only in strength to the great Achilles.
I thought he was named Ajax because he can clean things up on the
does that too.
On the defensive end. Does he get another night at Maggiano's? Does he get 3 for this weekend?
It's a superstitious bunch. 1:37 to go. John Tillman is about to take Maryland to the championship game for the 8th time since taking over as the Terrapins head coach. Notre Dame awaits. If Virginia doesn't score another goal, this would be the lowest goal output for the Hoos under Lars Tiffany. Cavaliers still get the championship weekend, but the bar's been raised for this program. Lars Tiffany has raised the bar. You win 2 national titles, you get to championship weekend. That has become the baseline expectation. Doesn't take away a great season. Getting here, getting to the semifinals, still very hard to do. But this program was down in the dumps when Lars Tiffany took it over. He resurrected it. Year 3, he won a national championship. Then you had COVID. 2021, another national championship. Final 4 last year, Final 4 this year.
I love his holistic approach to developing young people, whether it's lacrosse, reading of books, behavior training, sacrifice, like the whole thing. I would, if I had a son, I would send him to Virginia in a second.
Kark, you start to peek ahead to Monday. First glimpse of Notre Dame, Maryland.
First glimpse, biggest thought at the X, opening faceoff, Will Lynch, Luke Weirman. Do we need anything more in terms of selling this, in terms of how these teams have grown over the course of the season? I don't think so. This is an all-time faceoff matchup. We think back to the days of Trevor Baptiste and T.D. Earl, and we have an epic battle.
There's some other good matchups, though. We got Ajax against the Kavanaugh. You've got the goalie matchup, McNaney and Entenmann.
McCabe Millen broke his stick. He's running off. Wes Schmidt in goal for Maryland.
He asked me first glimpse, not second, third, and fourth.
Yeah, we got time for that tomorrow.
We need more than one paragraph.
Notre Dame seeking a repeat. Maryland seeking its 3rd title under John Tillman. Looking for its 5th championship in program history. 73, 75, 2017, and 2022. Irish will look to go back-to-back. Virginia kind of went back-to-back 2019, 2021. There was no tournament in 2020. But the last team to win in consecutive years was Duke, 2013 and 2014. Final 5 seconds. Corey. John Tillman, the master tactician, has done it again. Maryland against the world. They find a way to be the best on semifinal Saturday. The Terps double up Virginia 12-6, and they will play for a championship on Monday against Notre Dame. Paul?
Logan, since Lars Tiffany arrived at Virginia, no team of his offensively has been held under 7 goals. How did you guys do it today?
I mean, last week, I don't know, it was a great week of prep. The defensive guys knew it was going to be a tough job. I mean, they have a great offense. They've had a great offense all year. And our scout guys do a tremendous job week in and week out, giving us good looks. And we knew it was going to be a battle, and the defense gave me some good looks and cleared the ball okay, but the defense got the job done today.
One of your defenders is an absolute buzzsaw in Ajax Zapatello. What makes him tick?
Everything makes him tick. He just loves competing. He loves winning. And I think, he just has such a great attitude every day. He comes in, he works hard every single day, and he has a great attitude, whether we're down or up, and he keeps us steady, and he's a rock for us.
What happens when you give your head coach, John Tillman, time to prepare?
He's one of the best. I think he's one of the best preparers in the world. We go through a lot of film, and he does a good job. He probably doesn't sleep as much as he should, but he does a great job every week, giving his all to this team, and it shows.
Thank you, Logan.
Thanks, Carter.
That's why he's got a Tempur-Pedic in his office, I hear.
Babyface Logan. He's grown up right in front of our eyes, and he's going back to Memorial Day.
We've got 2 of the best big game goalies in the sport. McNaney, now 10-1 in his career in the NCAA tournament. Monday's championship game is set. Notre Dame against Maryland. It's the last 2 national champions. But here's what's different for Maryland. 2 years ago, Maryland was that ultimate Goliath. That's Notre Dame this year. The Terps go to Monday with the slingshot, looking to spring the upset. We'll see you 1 Eastern on ESPN on Memorial Day. We're down to 2. Our championship battle is set. It's Notre Dame, it's Maryland, the Terps, a 12-6 winner in the semis against Virginia. For Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra, and our entire crew, I'm Anish Shroff. We say goodbye from Philadelphia. Maryland and Notre Dame meet on Monday for the national championship.